SJWs. Social Justice Warriors. What in the world is a social justice warrior?
Rape culture.
Racism, fraud, conflict of interest, homophobia, sexual assault.
Racism, colonialism, capitalism, classism, and of course, sexism.
Transphobia, white supremacy, misogyny, ignorance.
We still live in a white supremacist, patriarchal nation.
America was never great.
Boobs are used to sell everything from burgers to soap.
A culture that approves of rape.
Family members never got shot.
Women who have a lot of sex are sluts.
For anyone who wasn't a white guy.
While guys are studs.
I expect no less from my dick.
This isn't just about us. This is about the world. Racism, misogyny, and Islamophobia won.
All white people are racist.
Americans affirmed white supremacy and patriarchy.
You are garbage.
As a white man, I don't expect you to be able to understand what people of color are actually saying.
I'll tell you exactly what a social justice warrior is and why they exist.
The term SJW, or Social Justice Warrior, has become very prevalent in many online communities in the last 10 years. But where is it from? And what is the point of it? In this video, I will take a look at where the term is from and what an SJW is. In the next video, I will look at the misperception and misuse of the term.
SJW is the abbreviated form for the term social justice warrior.
Urbane Dictionary defines SJW as a pejorative term for an individual who repeatedly and vehemently engages in arguments on social justice on the internet, often in a shallow or not well thought out way for the purpose of raising their own personal reputation. A social justice warrior does not necessarily strongly believe all that they say or even care about the groups that they are fighting on behalf of. They typically repeat points from whoever is the most popular blogger or commenter of the moment, hoping that they will get SJW points and become popular in return. They are very sure to adopt stances that are correct in their social circle. So how would you know if you entered an SJW space? Perhaps it would look like this.
Hello, I'd like to return this sweater.
Do you have the receipt?
Yes, right here.
Is there something wrong with the sweater?
Yeah, I think it's mislabeled. It says that it's a large, but it's got to be a small. You know, I know I should have tried it on, but I didn't really have the time. Then when I got home, it was really just way too tight. So.
Okay, I will credit your card. You don't have to be such an asswipe about it.
Excuse me?
Oh. Okay, you know what, sir? Screaming at me is not going to help.
I'm not screaming.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I was just hearing you louder.
What just happened here?
You know what? Forget it, okay? Just forget it, okay? I will credit your card, and then you can go.
Look, we've obviously gotten off on the wrong foot, so I'd like to start over if I could, all right? Hi, my name is Roger.
Call security.
Wait, no, don't.
Security? Yeah, this is Bob. We have an asswipe and sweaters.
Come on, I was not being rude to you, all right? I was just asking you to return the sweater. In fact, I'd say I was being downright pleasant.
Hi, I'm the manager. Is there a problem here?
Yeah. This asswipe just tried to kill me.
I did not try and kill her, all right? I'm just trying to return a sweater, and I think we're having a little breakdown in communication here.
Are you
maybe
threatening me, sir?
I'm not threatening you. I just want to return the sweater. How is that a threat?
It's your tone of voice, sir.
What tone? There's no tone. I don't have a tone.
I'm not hearing a tone?
Well, okay, yeah, maybe now there's a little bit of
you are threatening me.
No, I'm not threatening. I'm just saying we have a breakdown in communication. I tried to return this sweater, and she called me an asswipe. Is that, like, store policy here to call your customers asswipes?
Thanks, asswipe.
Can I just please have my receipt?
Oh, okay, just calm down, okay? I have Mason here, and I'll use it.
You'll never get away with this.
Come on, would you please?
Please, I have a husband at home, and he's got 2 kids. I'm begging you.
Just give me the receipt.
So just take whatever you want, just please don't hurt us.
Oh, come on, you'd say to me. This can't be real life. No one acts like this. Oh no?
You take the right picture.
Yeah.
You want my name?
Yeah, sure.
It's Hugh Mungus.
Okay. Humongous what? Humongous what?
Hugh Mungus.
Humongous what?
Humongous.
Humongous what?
Humongous.
Humongous what?
That's what it is.
Humongous what? Is that sexual harassment?
No, it's humongous.
Then why did you say that to me?
That's my name.
What? Humongous what?
Humongous.
Humongous what?
Humongous.
Humongous what?
That's what it is.
Humongous what? Is that sexual harassment?
No, it's humongous.
Then why did you say that to me?
That's my name.
What? Humongous what?
Humongous what?
Humongous what? Is that sexual harassment? Is that what you just did when you said that to me?
What, humongous?
Why would you say that to me?
Yes, but my name.
Why would you say that to me?
Why would I say it to
Why
you?
would you say that to me?
Why would you ask me my name?
What? Humongous what?
Humongous what?
Humongous what? Is that sexual harassment? Is that what you just did when you said that to me?
What, humongous?
Why would you say that to me?
Yes, but my name.
Why would you say that to me?
Why would I say it to
Why
you?
would you say that to me?
Why would you ask me my name?
What? Humongous what? Humongous what? Humongous what? Humongous what? This person just spoke to me in a sexually harassing way.
I did not.
Yeah, he did. He said, do you know what my name is? And I said, what? And he said, Humongous. What? Yeah. This person just sexually harassed me.
I said I'm humongous.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Humongous what?
Humongous.
So now you're actually pointing to yourself. You're actually pointing to your body parts, and you're actually pointing to your body parts and saying that you're humongous. You're actually doing that.
And this is not an isolated example.
You'll never get equal rights if you're rude. You have to be nice to me before I consider giving you the basic human respect you deserve. Your treatment is in my hands, and I'm going to hold this over you.
I think that when people are really rude to me, I don't have to respect them. But when I'm really rude to people, they have to respect me. Not only that, but I still think 2 wrongs make a fucking right. This is because I've never had to rise above anything. I don't know what morality is. I don't know that what you do defines what you are. I am a 19-year-old privileged, white, upper-class girl who lives in the first world. I don't know shit.
People are afraid of being labeled as a social justice warrior. That's one of those internet terms that has come out for people who, are campaigning for feminism and, equal rights and marriage rights and all that sort of stuff.
And telling men that they're not allowed to wear their favorite shirt to work. And trying to make it illegal for a man to disagree with a woman. And trying to make it illegal for a man to even look at a woman. And trying to make it so that even if you interact with a woman in an online environment, you are raping her.
But why do you care, man? This is a long story that I will go into in another episode. But the short version is, social justice warriors have a habit of ganging up on people to ruin lives as much as they possibly can for disagreements and perceived slights. This has not happened to me, but I watched groups of them doxing and threatening children. The worst part of that situation was when I brought this up to news agencies during the Gamergate situation. No agency would discuss it with me. In one specific instance, an editor of a major newspaper called one of the children in question names and said he deserved threats, which is likely the most upset I've ever been in my life. I'm a pretty calm person, but going after children and defending gangs who go after children is where I draw the line, and social justice warriors do not care in the slightest. So where does this attitude come from? The term social justice warrior was first used by progressive activists, but always in a simple champion of social justice style up until about 2009 or 2010. This article shows an AcLU Remembrance from 2011 proudly proclaiming the deceased a social justice warrior. You can also see the link below. But the term was picked up by liberals who wanted to distance themselves from people with certain characteristics. The truth of this lies in the fine points of what these key characteristics are. Number 1. Authoritarian in beliefs and ideology. Social justice warriors place very high importance on groupthink and ideology and see challenges of their own beliefs as equivalent to physical attacks. They're usually on board with violence against those who express disagreement with them, or sometimes even with non-conformity.
This man on Twitter and Facebook, you're an unethical reporter, you do not respect our space.
Get away from them. You stay out. The wall stays out. Get them away. That's what we're here for. Now, inside, get away. They got nothing to do now.
We good, bro. We good. We gotta make this wall big. It's all good. I understand. Especially for disrespectful people like him.
You say you're from San Francisco?
No, I did not. He said San Diego. San Diego? There you go. Yeah. Okay, just push the wall. What's your name? Okay, well, let's go and push the You're pushing. Come on, man. Nobody's touching I know, but they'll change the story on you. They'll change the story.
Hey, everyone just, I'm walking forward.
You're pushing me. You're pushing me.
We're walking forward. We're walking.
You're not doing your job. You're not doing your job.
It's our right to walk forward, isn't it? I believe it's my right to walk forward.
Hi, media. Can I talk to you?
No, you need to get out. You need to get out.
No, I don't.
You need to get out.
I actually don't.
All right. Hey, who wants to help me get this reporter out of here? I need some muscle over here.
Now, let's have a look into the mind of a liberal when they see a limo on fire.
This is not a fight truck. Throwing rocks at windows and destroying property. We're not barbarians after all. We have to show the enemy that we're civil by utilizing nonviolent protesting.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about nonviolent protesting. I attended the United Against Hate rally that took place on January 20th, as well as the Women's March that transpired the day after, both of which maintained their nonviolent characteristics, giving no threat to the police or property. So far, so good. Here's the problem, though. They weren't protests. They were organized and prearranged by people in power.
Tell me what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like.
A protest shouldn't need to have permission from the state. They are to be entirely spontaneous because a protest or riot is the voice of the people.
These are just two examples I found very quickly of the authoritarian practices of social justice warriors. The second example is more extreme in that it deals with Antifa or anti-fascists, who literally believe that having a state makes it so that nobody can be free. However, it's just another form of social justice warrior thinking. As you can see in the first example, they'll even fight with media reporters who are literally simply trying to keep a record of what's going on in their protests. Number 2, diversity of race, religions, sexes, genders, identities. Social justice warriors place extreme importance on diversity of appearance and labels, as opposed to diversity of ideas and actions. To them, characteristics of yourself you cannot change are more important than your thoughts and ideas.
You can look up those different activities. It's called the privilege walk exercise. I ended up at a position of +3 out of 10. We tend to talk about things like gender, race, sexual orientation, gender expression, physical ability versus disability, mental ability versus disability, stuff like that. So like those big tick marks of like, you know, what is your demographic are the things that we often think of as being privileged or not. I am a member of some minority groups that other people don't know I'm a part of if you just look at me. So I end up benefiting from a lot more privilege than I necessarily feel like I have based on my minority statuses. There's a lot of talk post-election about how a lot of people who do have minority statuses still voted against who they are or voted against their minority statuses because to them, another one of their identities was more salient or more important. So the things that I really identify with more readily are those minority statuses. So I feel like I identify more with that. But people looking at me don't see these things, and you know, to them, it might be more important what my race is. So even though my race isn't as important to me as my gender, religion, and sexuality, I still definitely benefit from that racial privilege, even when it's not the thing that I'm thinking of, because other people will look at me and be thinking of that if that's what's important to them or if that's what's salient to the situation at hand.
Number 3, hate for competition in productive value, love for competition in social value. SJWs place extreme importance on how they are perceived by others and what others feel about them, but little importance on what they can do for others or how they can produce.
The fact that I am you and you are me is really powerful. I was a conservative Christian pro-lifer as a child. I was raised to hate the Clintons. I can be that kid to this point where I'm like neighborhood team leader for Hillary, you know, like I am you guys, and that's why I feel like we've got to be able to talk to each other. I think that race and class and gender issues are like preeminent in processing most of what is right and what is wrong with our shared world today.
Number 4, SJWs absolutely hate losing and the discomfort that comes with it. Social justice warriors are deficient in coping skills needed to overcome objections and competitive situations where someone has to come to the forefront.
Fans dressed in team colors, waving flags, and shouting slogans all contribute to a sense of belonging and nationalism. Instead of money going to education, healthcare, and other such services, money is being funneled into World Cup spending for stadiums. And this is why I think sports are stupid. We are so much better than violence and war and nationalism. Let's find something else to do with our time.
And number 5, the competition for SJWs is being as included and inclusive as possible. Social justice warriors see themselves as winning if they do no offense or cause no harm to others who think as they do. They are afraid of being outcasts.
The mascot and the logo for the University of Iowa sports team are terrifying and promote aggression and violence. According to I'm sorry, this is according to a medical school professor at the tax-funded school, there we go, is urging school's athletic department to modify the mascot and the logo. Now, if you're not familiar with the University of Iowa, it's a hawk. Quote, I believe incoming students should be met with welcoming, nurturing, calm, accepting, and happy images and messages. And our campus community is doing a great job in that regards when it comes to our words. However, Herky, which is the name of the hawk, Herky's anger is, to say the least, his face is conveying aggression, maybe even violence, and that's not compatible with the verbal messages that we're trying to convey and instill in our students.
Why is any of this a problem? Well, the YouTube channel Behind the Meme thinks the issue is not what an SJW is or does, but how they do it.
Now, regardless of whether or not their views are correct, the problem seems to be the way social justice warriors carry themselves and treat others. It rubs people the wrong way and causes animosity when there are numerous documented cases of SJWs who tend to have short fuses and end up treating others unfairly when it is not always warranted. If they would just open up their eyes and see that their attitude is turning people off to their ideas, maybe they might be able to do something about it. But don't worry, before we know it, the popular opinion will change and they'll be on to the next thing.
Personally, I don't believe this view is correct. Social justice warriors are not always loud and obnoxious like most people believe. It's simply that the loud and obnoxious social justice warriors stand out.
We notice how in cahoots their providers is with the cops, who's so disgusting and such a token that she won't even look at the people when they speak. We all noticed how bullies like Bruce Harrell, who speak publicly and interrupt women when they speak, just as you interrupt me now. We saw how those crimes went up. We saw how the disgust and contempt that you have towards the people has gone up. We saw all of this. And don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. This is public comment. It is my right to speak.
That's her right to speak. That is her right to say.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
America.
This is America.
This is America. This is America. This is America. This is America. She has the right to speak.
Men of color are used to try to intimidate women of color.
That's right. That's the stuff we've been talking about. We've been dealing with this. Her saying what she has to say is not a crime, Bruce.
We see it. Everyone's seeing it. We've seen it. We are definitely seeing it. And don't worry, we will continue to watch. Don't touch me.
Make her go out for what?
Baby,
she ain't doing nothing. She doing just like Rosa Parks and all the rest of them did. Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Fannie Lou Hamer, Barbara Jordan, all of them. She ain't doing nothing
Lorena Gonzalez, we saw you.
These are people who truly believe they are in a type of social holy war, and they are egged on by those who need them to push agendas or to help them make money. They are sheep to whichever social norms and ideas are the least controversial at the time. The same people 80 years ago in Germany or Italy would have been fascists. They are simply warriors for the prevailing social norms.
We didn't get one vote. You didn't get a vote. It's just like back in the day when your vote was 1/3.
The Electoral College, here's somebody who wants to blow that up. You want to get rid of Electoral College?
Just count the votes. It's ridiculous. Hillary, you're a lawyer. Walk in, go to the Supreme Court. I believe in you, Hillary. I've been to Rwanda. I've been to your hospital in Rwanda. I've seen all the good you've done. I believe in you. Women need you. Minorities need you. I need you. Chicago needs you. We all need you. This country needs you to stand up and walk into the Supreme Court and say one vote equals one vote. What's wrong with that? What's the debate?
I definitely feel his passion. There's other people out here who feel the same way. At one point, you had people who were blocking this road. Chicago police moved in. Everything has remained peaceful. Like I said, Don, as you see, thousands of people still continue to gather. But like you heard this man, very passionate about the idea. He doesn't want Hillary to stop.
Yeah, Brian, you know I used to live there, and I know that guy. That's John Gurkovic. He actually went to Africa with me as a cameraman. But anyway, that's another story. All right, thank you, John. Thank you very much, Ryan.
There you have it. There you have it. Rigged media trying to create a hoax.
This is not to say that this type of activity is reserved for one ideology, but social justice warriors are simply those doing this for the most popular ideology at that time. In an interview with Tom Wood, Professor Jonathan Haidt really speaks to this problem.
Can you make a statement that there are people of certain ideologies who are more likely to cause a campus ruckus than others?
Oh yeah, no, it's very, very clear that it's a relatively small group. It's on the left. It's what's commonly called social justice activists or social justice warriors, and we can get into why that is. I mean, the history is full of extremist right-wing movements, extremist left-wing movements. But the fact that universities have switched from leaning left throughout the 20th century to being almost entirely on the left between the late 1990s and about 2010, we had as the greatest generation retired, a lot of them were Republicans. They were replaced by baby boomers. So the makeup of the faculty, especially in the humanities and social sciences, went from about 3-to-1, let's say, left-right ratio to about 10-to-1 or 15-to-1 in most departments. And the key thing to keep in mind, don't call them liberal. That's the key thing everybody needs to focus on. What we're seeing is an explosion of illiberalism. Progressives can be liberal or illiberal. Conservatives can be liberal or illiberal. Liberal means freedom, liberty. You believe in free expression, free speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association. And what we're suffering from is an explosion of illiberalism from certain groups of students, really primarily students more than faculty on the left. So here's what I would add as a social psychologist. Morality binds and blinds. So look at any movement, what do they hold sacred? Well, we start by asking, what do they hold sacred? And around that, you'll find a ring of motivated ignorance. So millennials today have been raised with the central virtues are inclusion. Diversity and inclusion are very important virtues. So this is all great. Saying that they were raised with this incredible mandate for tolerance and inclusion of people of different races, different sexual orientations. So that's all great. I'm all in favor of a more inclusive world, more inclusive campuses that don't make people feel unwelcome. So that's all great. I totally agree with the goal. But what happens is, as Aristotle told us, any virtue carried to extremes becomes a vice. And if you make inclusion of people who are different, if you make that your absolute sacred virtue, and then you have a professor, let's say, who gives a lecture on how, well, actually, gender differences are real, and maybe that contributes to the wage gap. Well, suddenly you're going to get people, what? Are you saying that women deserve to be paid less? And so you can't say such things. You can't say anything on campus that will make any member of one of the 7 protected groups feel uncomfortable. This extreme value placed on inclusion and diversity has led them to be extremely intolerant of anyone who says anything that's taken to be uncomfortable for a member of a protected group. There are many beliefs that are so central, so foundational, that if you tried to argue against that, well, actually what we see on campus, we see students saying that this would invalidate their existence. So if you were to try to argue that some cause of prejudice or racism was not real, or that disparities by race or gender had other causes, some would take this as an existential threat, an existential attack. You would be trying to invalidate their existence, which is an act of violence. So your very efforts to persuade with reasons are violence. I've had conversations like this with some groups of those students. I've been told that these norms of debate and civility, these were invented by white males, white European males. I think it's actually quite dangerous for free inquiry and for universities. The way it's changed is that certain norms that grow out of the Marxist tradition have been established on campus. And so one of them is what you might call the ad hominem albus argument. I just looked this up this morning. Albus is the Latin word for white. So, we all know what an ad hominem argument is. It's not a valid form of argument. You reject, rather than arguing against what someone said, you say, yeah, well, you're Jewish, therefore, or, you're gay or whatever. So therefore, I don't have to listen to you. And so what students are taught in many of their classes is start with an analysis of privilege. So who's the speaker? What are the speaker's motives? Is the speaker just defending his privilege? And so since it's often, this is literally most of the arguments I've gotten, most of the counter arguments, literally since I started this last August with my Atlantic article with Greg Lukianoff, we've been scouring the internet. We've been looking for people arguing back. We've been looking for reasons why we might be wrong. What have we missed? And I kid you not, more than half of the arguments, and I'm talking like a total of maybe 6 blog posts, like nobody's really argued back, but most of them are basically, well, they're white males. They're just defending their privilege. And so that's what I call the ad hominem albus argument. And if students learn to start every analysis with a privilege check and to dismiss arguments made by the privileged people and to emphasize arguments made by the victim people, they have more authenticity, they have more valid life experience. Well, if this is what they're learning in college, we're basically, we're teaching them to judge everybody by their race and sex? Are you serious? This is really what we're doing? Yes, this is what we are doing on campus.
But how did Western society get here? What socially changed in the last 30 years?
So you've got this generation, right, millennials, and they grew up right as the PC era began. And it's important to understand that because in the PC era, education took a new track. When they looked at kids in school, they said, hey, you know what? Instead of addressing behavioral problems, we're just going to ignore them. So from now on, everybody's a winner. Everybody's going to get a trophy. Everybody's kid is special. They're beautiful. They're elegant. Nothing they do is wrong. They should never be held accountable for any of their actions. Okay? And this is this thing that these kids grew up hearing day in and day out. And a large majority of them, once they became adults, became extremely narcissistic because they've been raised on this idea that they are special. Look at all those trophies they've got. That must mean something. Sure, they're all fucking participation trophies, but they're fucking trophies nonetheless. Now, when you combine that with technology, right, with all these smartphones and tablets and laptops and then social media services like Twitter and Facebook, it just adds fuel to the fire because now that person that thinks in their head that they're super special and that everything they do is really important can now tell everybody about how important and how special they are. Because absolutely everybody has to know that I just took a shit, so I better tweet that out. Everybody absolutely has to know that, my fucking favorite color is blue. Let me go on Facebook and tell them. The world needs to hear this shit because I am the center of the fucking universe. So that's what you've got. You've got these group of people that are super narcissistic and they've got the technology that just adds fuel to the fire, right? And then here comes these really crazy social justice warriors. And they tell these people the one thing they really want to hear. And that one thing is, nothing you do is wrong. The reason your life is shit and the reason you feel unfulfilled and things aren't going your way is because somebody out there is oppressing you.
As Jim illuminates, the issue has seeds with social conditioning of devaluing personal triumph in exchange for groupthink and group cohesion. When this started years ago, the goal was to bring everyone up as much as possible and to build in anything we could do to assist. In the last 10 to 15 years, the tact from many on this line of thinking has skewed into the realm of bringing down as many people as well. This is where we see things like white privilege, gender identity, cultural appropriation, or ableism. So what can we do, or should we do, about social justice warriors? The best thing you can do to combat social justice warriors is to promote free speech and dialogue. Self-improvement and taking on tough subjects that make you uncomfortable is key. The more you know, and the more you can dismiss social justice warrior talking points and faux data can only benefit everybody. Another key is to disassociate yourself from media that is pro-social justice warriors and support advocates of free thinking and free speech. You don't have to be religious or right-wing or left-wing or anything else, but you should pick through data. The mainstream media is not your friend. Major newspapers and groups on all sides are run by elites who want money and power and do not have your interest at heart. They regularly use social justice warriors to attack speech and thought and rarely benefit the average person. Just look at the shrinking middle class. Create your own channels and media and enjoy life. You don't have to follow the norm. Be yourself.
Anytime you criticize them, they're the good guys. They're fighting for social justice. That's why the moniker stuck, and that's why it shouldn't fucking disappear. They want to use it, right? When you say the phrase social justice, who's going to say that's bad? That sounds like a good thing. But it's a complete fucking con job. These people are con artists. They're using the newest buzzwords to make the most amount of money. And then you've got the extremists and the narcissists that really buy into the bullshit and drink the Kool-Aid, and they go and they fuck up anything they can touch. And that's what a social justice warrior is.